Hi, it's a beautiful sunny afternoon around 5 o'clock here in Corona, California, where my private practice office is. And I'm so excited to share with you today what you need to know about the questions that arise around the business side of private practice when you're pre or provisionally licensed. So, oh my gosh, I have to float back in time a little bit and just share with you where I was at when I graduated. Like many of you, whether you have already or you're about to, I remember thinking, gosh, there's still so much more to learn about, both clinically, how to help people. And I felt like, gosh, I felt like I need to know and learn more. And then I also thought about how in the dark I was about the business and the profession of the therapy field, that I really didn't understand exactly what it took to even just be successful in this career at all, and what that entailed. Was that like corporate America, where you work your way up the ladder? Was it being an independent practitioner, stepping out and building your own business? And if so, I was like, okay, what does that look like, and how does that happen, and how do you even decide what path you want to go down? And then once you decide, how do you know what steps to take? So the business side of private practice was fairly in the dark or gray zone for me, almost black, because I had been working, I was in a practicum site, which was like a private practice type setting. It was a center, the Center for Individual and Family Therapy in Orange, California. And it operated kind of like a group or a private practice, where they funneled you the referrals, the clients, you gave them the availability, they funneled them to you, and you got to build your caseload that way, 1, 2, 5, 8. And so I kind of had a glimpse into like how a center or group practice runs and how I would get clients from them. And I understood where those referrals came from and how that all worked. I was, made friends with the administrative staff, but by the time I graduated, I still really didn't know what to do. I had a caseload at the time, and I wasn't sure where to go or what to do. And so I wished that someone, I'm looking at my notes here that I wrote, trying to reflect and remember, back in time when I first started, I really wished someone would have been able to tell me. I mean, that would have been probably the most amazing thing at that time, around the time that I graduated, and even soon after, if there could have been someone to tell me, okay, look, Tyra, this is what you do. This is going to be the best door to open. This is going to be the best way to go about it. And here's the steps, X, Y, Z. I would have been so relieved and grateful to have that, because what I stepped out to find out once I graduated and decided I wanted to pursue what this private practice was all about versus other career options and jobs, the people that I had consulted with and talked with already with my friends and colleagues, I already knew that it sounded like the best option possible. But what I didn't know was how to go about finding out how to make it work for myself, and how to make it the best, to ensure it would be the best option for me, and that I wouldn't, flounder or let alone fail. And so I hired a couple of the best therapy coaches that are out there. I went to conferences, I consulted, I read, and I took in everything that I could, and networked with colleagues as well, to learn what it took to start to get good at doing private practice while I was pre-licensed, before I was going to take the exams and all of that. So I was a brand new therapist, and I wanted to understand the business aspect of it, because I knew, of course, with this work and this field comes, the awareness that I needed to get better. I wanted to always, continually evolve my skills and like who I am as a therapist. And I also knew that it had some personal benefit too in being able to do that, that personal growth aspect of it really was inspiring and enticed me. And so I needed to figure out the business side of it so that I could not flounder and not fail, and know what in the world I was doing, and know that I was going about it, in some healthy, productive ways. So, I just remember thinking, like, where do you start? And so many questions that I get from a lot of the students and colleagues that I work with and coach is, the questions all across the board. Where do you even start? How do you know if you need to find a supervisor? If you do need to find one, how do you go about finding the best one for you? And how do you even make that happen? Where do you go? How do you handle those conversations? How do you put together a resume and make that impressionable? How do you interview for that? How do you negotiate to get the best terms possible so that you have the best setup and arrangement for you possible that's a win-win for both you and your potential supervisor? How do you negotiate the best income for yourself possible and maximize how much you can make even though you're provisionally licensed? So there are so many questions that pop up, and once you get through the understanding the supervision aspect of it, and maybe finding, and even before, how do you build a caseload, there's other questions of, now that I found a supervisor or realized I don't need one, I need office space. So where and how do I go about doing that? How do I know whether I should, find my own office or sublet? How do I know if I should start out my private practice with the intent of growing it to a group practice? There's so many questions that pop up when it comes to thinking about, supervision and office space and this office setting where you're going to be. And then if you figure all that out on your own, then you're faced with, okay, now how do I get clients? Is my supervisor going to give them to me? And that's also something, with the supervisory agreement. Is the supervisor going to give them? Are you going to be expected to provide them and generate your own referrals? And if so, where do you go for that? And where do you begin? And how do you know mostly like which activities to hone your energy and focus on? Because there are so many options, and it can be overwhelming if you just go on a Facebook group and start asking questions, because you're going to get opinions, from all kinds of people that know about this stuff, some people that don't know about this stuff. So you're just going to get input and information all across the board, and then you don't really have a way to test it or know, okay, is this what I really should do, and is this the best choice for me? So it can definitely be overwhelming, and you want to know for sure the efforts and money that you invest into yourself and your career. You want to know that you're going to get the best reward or payoff for that. So if you're channeling your effort and your money into certain marketing activities, you want to know for sure that this is a solid method to get clients. And so, because otherwise you could just be spinning your wheels, or you could be putting forth your energy in ways that isn't the best for you in terms of getting the end result, getting the clients that you want to be able to see and work with in private practice. And so all of that can get very complicated and overwhelming, and I have figured it out, and I have a lot of those answers. I have those answers because I had to come up with them and find them out myself over various years, and I've also coached and helped other students of mine that I work with one-on-one, that are in my classes. And so I've also helped create website content. My background before I became a licensed therapist was in writing. I worked in corporate communications, doing a lot of creative and marketing writing. So I have a very creative side to myself, so I really jam a lot of that into the section on marketing. But I digress. I wasn't going to get into the course quite yet. So marketing and getting clients can be probably the biggest obstacle. So if you're able to get your other ducks in the row, you want to do private practice, it's legal and ethical in your state, you're going about it in the right ways based on your licensure status, then you know whether you have to have a supervisor or not. If you find a supervisor, great. then the next, honestly, biggest challenge is in, generating those referrals and those clients. But it's not rocket science, guys. It's actually simpler and easier than you may have heard otherwise. So I want to dispel the myth that it's, so complicated and so overwhelming that, you just makes you want to just walk away and not even try. It's not that at all, guys. In fact, I think too many people have that concept in their head, like, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not a graphic designer, I'm not a marketing person, I wanted to just help people. Why do I need to do this other stuff? But this other stuff isn't all that challenging and that difficult. With the right guidance and the right support, it's doable and you can do it. And I work with you one-on-one to be able to help you know which activities, based on who you are with your experiences and your beautiful makeup of your talents and strengths, of which activities and efforts you want to work on and do that's going to be authentic and real for you in applying really your strengths to becoming a therapist and to working in a private practice. So we're not making you do stuff that you don't want to or feel like you can do. So it's teaching you and then guiding you and helping you make the right decisions for yourself in as simple and easy way as possible. So and then after that point, once you get those calls generating and those emails coming in, and believe me, they do, and it's so exciting when that happens, you're going to then be faced with, okay, what do I say on the phone to this person? What do I email to them? What do I say? They're telling me all this heartache and these problems in their life, and gosh, how can I address that in a phone call, especially when it's supposed to be just to schedule the appointment? How do I handle those aspects of it where we're talking about practical stuff like availability, daytime, evening, insurance, no insurance, the fee, how much the fee is, where you're located, your availability, and then mixed in with that is they're telling you, pouring out or just sharing little tidbits of what's going on with them and why they're looking for a therapist. So, and I really teach you guys how to do that. So it can be really challenging when you first start getting those calls and emails. It's like, gosh darn, like, that's all I was waiting for and all I was working for, and then you get them and it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So I've been there and I've done that, and for years I've been there and done that, and I tested out different approaches and techniques in terms of those calls and those emails, and I figured out what works, and I figured out how to basically maximize your chances of scheduling with a client that calls or emails, as long as they're a good fit for you, and you're a good fit for them, you believe, and you don't see any reason to have to refer out right away. Then the next challenge, and it's a fun one, is, okay, they enter your door, they come in through the door, and now they sit down at your couch and you're in the therapy chair, and then now what? So especially when it's your first 6 months, that can feel like, whoa, I just need to remember where the tissue is. Okay, my phone's over here, my drink's here. Okay, that's maybe the first week or two. And then, but then what do I do with this person, with this now client? I'm the therapist, they're the client. And what do I do? What do I say? They're pouring their heart out to me. How can little me be there for them? How can I be the therapist they're looking for and want? How can I be the therapist that they want and that they need in their life? And so I have figured out a beautiful blend of the business side of it, using brass tack business approaches, along with a beautiful clinical approach. I blend those in a way where it's almost hard to tell that you're even like doing business. It's, maybe you could call it finessing. So I help you with that, with the initial first consultation session, because so many questions come up. It's like, what in the heck? There's different issues that people present with. They may say one thing on the phone, and then when they come in the office and they start opening up, you were in shock in awe. You don't know what to say. You don't know if you should ask standard questions like you would when you were a trainee. You don't know if you should do a long intake. There's just so many questions that pop up, and I know I'm repeating that. So, all that to say that no worries. When we're able to have someone teach us, tell us, and show us the options, show us the options in an educated manner where we can kind of figure things out and take it from there, or with a little guidance and one-on-one time, we're able to take it and run with it. So if that's the case, wonderful, because you're going to be able to figure this out and be successful at it. Believe me, if I can do it, you guys can do it too, because I am a highly sensitive person and can tend to get overwhelmed. I've really come a long ways with that, with my own therapy and personal growth that I do, and being a therapist, honestly. So I've worked on myself enough to become more in touch with my sensitivity, while also I don't fall apart, I don't cave in, I'm stronger than I used to be. And I am telling you, becoming a therapist in private practice, especially, is something that has dramatically contributed to that personal growth within me. I would not have been able to be where I am. I'm starting to get a little stuffy all of a sudden, allergies kicking in. And I just want to say that you guys have answers. If someone could have given me the answers a while back to all of these questions that I had and had to figure out over the course of several years, and put together in a package and experiment and test different approaches that work, and different tactics and services, and what to use and not use, if someone could have shown me those ropes early on and said, hey, these are the options, these are the paths, and if you go down this path, just all you need to do is XYZ. Within XYZ, you've got lots of choices, lots of wiggle room, lots of freedom. And if someone, oh my gosh, if someone could have done that for me, I would have been utterly grateful. And so the good news is that's what I have for you. It's kind of like a professional love letter to you to be able to get into a private or group practice while you're or provisionally licensed. If you ever had that kernel of a hope or dream that you pictured yourself sitting in a warm, cozy office sipping tea or coffee or water while you're meeting with clients, in your temperature-controlled room, in a nice office where you might have a window or breezy curtains or something that feels so nice just to be around and be in. If you ever imagine that, and of course it's so much more than that, then consider this. Consider getting into a private or group practice while you're pre-licensed, because it's the best option possible for you.